Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Simon. I work at Yellow Pages. I've been there for a while now. And it's sort of like, what's the credentials around disruption? So, firstly, obviously, print media completely disrupted. That's why we're all here today. But if you think about the Yellow Pages, we also operate our product in media across nearly every single industry in the country. And if you think about that for a second, that means that in every industry, there's a bunch of startups, there's a bunch of established businesses, and all of them are thinking about how can they do things better with digital. So not only are we getting, disrupted by print changing to digital, but we have so many players. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing inside Sensis to help us reinvent. Have we got another? Or can someone click? Okay, so today I just want to go across a little bit about the need to embrace disruption, so take inspiration from all of the different things that are happening. Also, when you set up a team, make sure you have the right people at the right time with the right skills. That's actually really important. Teams will change over time. You'll need different skill sets to achieve different things as you go through the innovation process. And also, really important, build a culture that's comfortable with failure. And I don't really like the term failure, but think of it more as a culture where it's okay to not get it right the first time. So I'll take you through a little bit about how we've done that. Thanks. But first, what's really driving the need to change at Sensis? Well, as I said, the print business, our revenues are in decline. They've been in decline for a long time. We all know it. We're not hiding behind it. It's happening. But we've actually been working really, really hard behind the scenes to grow our digital business. Other things that are happening, so consumers have a lot more choice than they've ever had before. All of the big social players, there's lots and lots of things happening. It all moves so quickly. Businesses also have choice. We heard from Twitter today, there's like a variety of things you can now do, and broadsheet. All of these options are there for both consumers and for businesses to explore. The other thing, which is a little bit obvious, but Google, search engines, they've made it really, really tough for us to compete. Global platforms, loads and loads of search engineers. And so the role of, for your businesses as much as ours, having a good SEO strategy and knowing how to be a frenemy with these guys is absolutely critical. So those are the big things that are driving change at Sensis. So our response to that can be summarised in three different ways. One is to simplify the business. So all of our well-established, mature products, we need to simplify them down. We need to simplify the proposition to our customer. We need to simplify how we sell it. We need to simplify how we manage them internally. And I would argue it's the same even in the digital sense. When you have a product operating at scale and it's mature, everything must be very simple. It must be very efficient. But that's not enough. You need to keep improving as well. So each and every one of our products we look at, and how do we iterate? How do we keep making it better? How do we deliver more value for our customers? We focus a lot on that. And the last bit, and this is where the disruption bit really kind of comes in, is diversifying. So broadly at Sensis, in addition to the Yellow Pages, the White Pages, the products we're known for, we also have a significant base of website customers. We're about to launch e-commerce. We're Australia's largest reseller of AdWords. We've just launched, in the last 12 months, an internal agency called Found. They're a performance marketing agency designed to handhold our largest customers into the digital world with the guys who are spending a lot more money. And the last one, what I want to talk to you about today, is a product called Skip. And Skip is really about pushing us out. So the inspiration for Skip was we were looking at the market, we're saying, well, what's interesting? What's going on out there? Mobile is growing rapidly. Payments is an interesting space. What if you put those two things together? Yep, you got Square, you got Stripe, there's some people doing some cool stuff already. What can we do? Well, we decided we could add some value to that equation. And therefore, Skip was born. And it's an app that you can download if you're in Melbourne, which we all are, which is good. You can download it, you can pre-order it, and pay for your coffee and your toast before you get to your cafe in the morning. And you just walk straight in, pick it up, it's already ready for you there. I love it. I feel really special when I do it. We weren't the first to market, and I'll get into that a little bit, but we're growing rapidly. We've had over 100,000 orders placed through Skip already, which I think is pretty cool in just over a year, and we've processed over $500,000 in revenue. And when I look at the stats, I was looking at them this morning, every 4 weeks, our traffic is growing by about 25%. And for the last 3 months, that's actually increasing, so it's growing really rapidly. Which is fantastic for us. So we're not number one yet. So how did we get there? It can be as simple as this. We set up an innovation team, we got a bunch of people together, and we wanted to, I said we want to get into this mobile payments ordering space, but what do? Oh, well, will people buy coffee and toast from a cafe, from their mobile phone? The first prototype we did was this. It's a poster on a glass door inside our office that just says, hey, if you want to order coffee and toast, text this number. The success metric was, would someone do it? I think 2 people did. So that was pretty cool. We also have hack days at Sensis. So the next thing we did was we spent 24 hours building a web front end for the mobile, and then we allowed people around the organisation to place their orders, and we were the back end. So I actually went and sat in a cafe for a week and took the orders on an iPad and placed them. Hugely valuable. We learnt so much in doing that. And then to build the product itself only took 12 weeks. And then we took revenue 10 weeks after that from our first set of customers. So the whole thing happened extremely quickly. But it all started from this poster. So now I want to get into a few more examples about how we do innovation, and this will lead into how challenging is it to bring this style of work to something like Yellow Pages. So we had our purpose-built team, hand-picked people. The first thing we did was break all of the rules. We wanted to use specific technology. We didn't want to listen to the policy people. We didn't listen to legal, maybe a little bit. But essentially, we valued figuring out what the answer to our problem was instead of being tied up in red tape by the broader business. And we were fortunate. The CEO was backing us, so we could do it. But it still meant the team had to be comfortable with that. We also prioritized the big problems. And this is really important, particularly in the early phases of idea development. Now, my CEO, John, he's a great guy. He's given us a lot of freedom. He desperately wanted a map in the Skip product. And I kept saying, no, we need to focus on the big problems. A map is obvious. Of course people need a map. If you have to find a cafe you've never been to before, the address is good, but a map gets you right through the front door. But I said no to him because we knew that. The big problem was how do we get it into the cafe? How do we get the cafe owner working on it? The other thing we knew about consumers, because I'd been sitting in the cafes and we'd been watching people a lot, was that most people have 1 to 2 cafes they go to. You go to it every day, you order the same thing. You don't need a map to get to the cafe you go to every day. So important, always focus on the big ideas. It's very easy to slip into, we'll just keep iterating. We're agile, we're lean, but if you don't focus on the big problems, then you're not going to get the big answers. As I said, we treated failure as a chance to learn. Every failure led us to an insight about how good the product could be if we got it right. One example of this was we noticed through our early prototyping, groups of people would go and get their coffee together in the morning. So we did something a little bit stalkerish, and we sent them a text message. We say, hey, we noticed you guys went and got coffee together yesterday. Would you like us to place the order for you? Because we knew the people, we felt like it was okay. And so we went and spoke to them afterwards. They said yes. We said, why'd you say yes? And they said, well, we knew you. What if you didn't know us? Oh, it was very creepy. We wouldn't have liked that. So I think it was a failure. They were okay with it because they knew us, but if you didn't know who Skip was and you didn't know the people that were running it, that probably wasn't going to work. But we learned there was something about how people had coffee. As I said before, working with our customers and users, so I spent a week in a cafe. I was the back end of the prototype. My pockets were full of change because I'm handing over notes and I'm like, hey, this coffee's for Alice, and can you place this order for John? And it was just chaos. Chaos, and cafes get really busy. But it was a good experience. So on day one, when I saw new users coming in for the first time, they'd come at you, walk in, and okay, where do I go? Do I get in the line at the register? Because I've already ordered. Walk over here, maybe. The barista would finally go, oh, Evan, yeah, your coffee is here. Sweet. Grab it, out the door. Then the second day when they came back, bang, straight to the barista. Is that my coffee? Got it, out the door. Look at the 7 people standing in line. Yeah, self-satisfaction written all over them. So we learned we didn't really need to invest too much time in, big point-of-sale posters and all kinds of stuff, just a little card, brief the barista on what they need to do, and once people get the hang of it, they learn really, really quickly. So probably saved ourselves a lot of marketing dollars in terms of printing and point-of-sale information. And the last point, I could go on a lot about this, but the last point is really we valued paper prototypes over even a post-it note was enough, over really polished designs in our prototypes. The reason for that is that the more you work on something, the more effort you put into it, the more attached you become to it. And then it becomes much, much harder to let it go when you find out that it's not right. And that's really critical, because when you're moving at pace, when you're focused on solving big problems, you have to be able to let things go. You have to know if something isn't right, move on. And the best way you can do it is to put no effort, minimal amount of effort into the prototyping that you're doing. Whatever you can do to learn something without spending a cent, Eric and Sarah will agree with this, minimum effort, minimum cost to learn, and just keep building on it. So that was all good. At the end of that period of probably 12 months or so, John, our CEO, came to me and said, hey, we're loving the work you're doing with Skip. Can you take what you've learned and apply it to Yellow? I was like, oh, sounds like an interesting challenge. Okay, cool, I'll do it. I learned very quickly that the mindset of the Yellow Pages team was very different to the mindset of the Skip team. And I had some real challenges, particularly early on, figuring out how I could help the team move faster. So some of the things. Firstly, my advice would be start small. Just get the smallest thing you can work on. De-risk whatever your project is as much as possible. If I had gone in and tried to reinvent the Yellow Pages from the ground up, change its proposition on day one, the team would have freaked out. So what we did is we just picked off a small part. Now, we all know about content marketing. We were thinking about doing some content marketing. But before we built a new content management system and integrated it into the site, what was the quickest and easiest thing we could do? We already had a couple of thousand articles lying around. And we were like, oh, not many people are reading them. What if we push it a bit harder? What if we put them into the real world? What happens? So we did that. So we just took the things, they were already built, but they were ugly. It was like 2005 SEO type content. Horrendous. But it didn't stop us checking to see, would people click on this content out on the web? Would they read it? And we found that they would, and that they spent time on it. And that was the validation for us. We started with something small, and then we went ahead and built out our new content management system, knowing that people would engage with our content, even when it was in its poorest form that it could possibly be. And we knew that by building something new and impressive, it could only get better. The other bit I want to talk about is also this embracing failure. So it's really easy to say, hey, fail fast, fail cheap. Do it. When you hit the team are like, yeah, okay, Ev, let's go. But actually, it doesn't work that way. People have to feel really safe. You have to make it okay. Because the mindset of my team was, when I came in, was very much, I've got my goals, got my objectives, doing my job, got my budget, just got to get it done. We're all got to get it done. We all have this. And I was saying, stop what you're doing, go and do something over here, and if it doesn't work, I'm okay with it. But that was still hard. So you have to lead by example. You have to get in there. Funny story, I had one staff member, I said, let's do an EDM. We have all of these logged in users who like to leave reviews on Yellow Pages or endorse businesses. I said to them, let's just test. For all the people that log in and never leave a review, let's send them an EDM and ask them to. Just pick a few hundred of them and go, yeah, let's do it. So I thought that, okay, that's going to happen. Check back in a couple of weeks. How'd it go? Oh, we haven't done it. You haven't done it? Why? Well, I need to understand the whole strategy. No, we don't know what the strategy is yet. We're going to do a bunch of experiments and we're going to build the strategy out. So, all right, cool, got it. Come back 2 weeks later. How's it going? Well, I've signed up to MailChimp. I've got a list. Have you written the email yet? Well, no, I'm still thinking about it. So we're a month in. What I thought, on Skip, we would have gone, oh, let's do an EDM. Bang, written during the day, sent that afternoon. It's taken me a month. I still haven't got it. Eventually, 6 weeks later, we did it. We sent it. I was like, hallelujah. And it was great because what we found out, that it was a really effective way of getting consumers back to our site, leaving a review, and conducting other searches for businesses. And it created a connection with them. So it was fantastic. We had really, really low opt-out rates and really high conversion rates on people opening the email. So it was a very worthwhile experience. And from that, we started to build the strategy out. But it just took 6 weeks of pushing, showing, leading the way, making it okay for it to fail. Because her concern was, well, if I send it to 500 people, say, and they never come back to Yellow Pages ever again, then I've lost them. I said, but if you don't send it, you'll never know whether it'll work or not. Another one is about challenge the idea of what's possible. Some of the realms of which you already work in is, you kind of get a little bit blinkered to it. One of the things we've been doing recently is trialling, will people book a service through Yellow Pages? So we did something really, really cheap and fast. I was excited. Let's do bookings. We put a booking button on the site. We put an email form behind it. Really simple. Just emails the business, emails us. We can see, will people click on the button? Will they fill out the form? Will they book and go to the business? That's all. It took about 2 days, so I was excited. We had an opportunity from one of our executives to grab some people in our care team so that we could put our booking button on businesses that didn't have email addresses, just to pad out the sample size. And one of my colleagues said to me, why are you so excited about it? And I was like, because we're going to be doing more stuff. And he was like, well, I don't really get it. Why would you do that? And I was stumped. Why would he not be excited? This is an opportunity to learn. We might discover something we don't know. But his assumption was, well, we're going to have an automated system. It'll be tech-driven. We'll probably find a vendor and we'll plug it in and it'll work. And my view was, we need to explore. We need to understand consumers better. We need to understand the interaction between them and the business. And I'd already learned a lot from Skip about how consumers interact with a cafe, and I thought there would be other things we could learn. So this seemed like a really good opportunity to actually be talking to people. So that was interesting. So for him, he already had in his mind what it was. In my mind, I was open. And so really, you have to then work with people to, I guess, unlock. It's very easy to jump to an assumption about what you think it is going to be. But through experimentation and prototyping, you can actually find these things out that you otherwise wouldn't have known. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And my last point about some of the journey with Yellow Pages is really about engaging your leaders early. So one of the things that I like to do, and this is sort of about how do you get permission to do it? How do you get your leaders engaged in the process? So in our team area, we have a couch, and I often invite, my executive or our CEO to join us and sit on the couch. And it's really important because they're coming to our area. We're not going to the boardroom, we're not going to the CEO's office. There's no PowerPoint involved. Definitely no PowerPoint. Come and sit on the couch. You chill out, relax. It's like novel for executives to go somewhere and sit on a couch. But it's good because they become creative, sitting back, not leaning forward, all that kind of stuff. And then we get big boards, and you could big portable boards, or you could use whiteboards, and we pin our experiments up. We have a few call-outs, conversion rates on this, or insight from that person, and we tell a story. Here are all of the things we've done. A lot of the time, it's things that we've done we haven't told them about. They're just things we've found a way to do on the side. We take them through the story. We tell them what we think the insights are telling us, and then we tell them this is what we're going to do next. What do you think? So we're not really asking for approval. We're not asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just what should we do in the next iteration? And for our leaders, it's an opportunity to really engage with the product development process, or whatever the activity, whether it's a marketing plan and some channel work we're doing. And it gives them the opportunity to see what works and what doesn't work. And thinking back to the skip thing with the map, I was always able to push back and go, but we did this and we know that outcome. The map is not as important. So it gives you a real platform to be able to make sure the work you're doing is going to deliver what your customers need. So engage your leaders early and try and do it in an informal and casual sense. It makes it less risky for them as well. If you ask them for a yes or no, they have to make a decision right then and there. If you just say, hey, what do you think? Should we do these things next? It's very low risk. So to wrap it all up, 3 things. Harness the disruption. So look around, know what's out there, and get inspiration from it. Don't look at your competitors and go, oh, I can't do that. Figure out what you can do. Look at the startups. What are they doing? Figure it out. Be inspired. Get involved. Get the right people with the right skills at the right time, and make it really safe. Fail fast. Learn from it. Make it okay for people to not get it right. And it might take a little bit of time. It's taken us probably 6 months on Yellow Pages to get to the point where everyone in the team is comfortable moving quickly, making things that don't work, and learning from it. Thank you.
Use technology as an enabler, not as a gimmick. And that can be important. That can change your business overnight, provide real utility for your customers, and build new revenue streams that you've never thought possible before.
Who doesn't want to have more fun in their life? And I think advertising is very serious these days. It's become much more about ROI and stuff, and I think we should be saying, like, how can I make this campaign more fun? Or how can I have my customers have more fun, have a fun experience?